All right, looks like we are live. Just waiting to see myself in the YouTube. There we go. Awesome. All right, Trade Pros, we are live today for the Futures Afternoon update. Got an excited one headed your way today. First and foremost, let's go ahead and get started with some of the economic announcements that were on the calendar for today's session. And before I do that, today's date is Thursday, July the 25th. So one more day left in this week, remainder of today's session, and we got one more day tomorrow for the remainder of this week, and we got another 3 days of July trading next week, and we transition into August trading as of Thursday next week. So July is coming out to a close. It's been a pretty good July. It's been a little bit tough to trade, at some points where the market wasn't really moving. We've had, situations where the S&P 500 was in a 2-point range for the better part of, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So volatility is looking like it's slowly starting to come back in. Just taking a quick peek at the quote board today, the volume is almost twice what we've seen in the last 2 or 3 days. So that being said, let's go ahead and start off with our economic announcements. So Georgie covered anything that came out around 8:30 a.m. We had a couple of large economic releases out of Europe. We had Draghi. He had a ECB press conference. We had the monetary policy statement and the main refi rate out of Europe. That was at 7:45. And then that press conference was at 8:30 a.m. with Draghi, which also came out at the same time as U.S. core durable good orders came in, the month-over-month figure, which was a big beat there, 1.2% versus 0.2 expected. As far as the ECB press conference, Draghi left the 7-day refi rate unchanged at 0%. However, he was providing a bit of a dovish outlook, dovish forward guidance, so to speak, which is interesting as his spot gets replaced as the ECB chair within a couple of months. So interesting to see that he took that much of a dovish tone, all considering the fact that he's not going to be holding on to that position for too much longer. So that's kind of what we had on the agenda today. Nothing really else scheduled for the remainder of today's session. Until tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., we get that advanced GDP, the quarter-over-quarter figures. And as I mentioned, earlier this week, yesterday as well, that is your main, or that is the most important of the 3 GDP numbers that come out. It is your advanced GDP, the quarter-over-quarter. So that's coming out tomorrow morning, and you guys can't see it, but the previous quarter-over-quarter advanced GDP figure was minus 3.1%. This time we are expected to come in at 1.8%. So keep a close eye on 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. That should give the U.S. dollar some volatility. And basically, when the U.S. dollar moves, so should the stock market. They generally share an inverse correlation. So as the dollar strengthens, what you would usually see is the S&P 500 moving lower, similar correlation with commodities. A majority of commodities are priced in US dollars, and so when the dollar goes down, it becomes cheaper to acquire those commodities, and you usually see those start to run up as a result. So keep an eye out on that tomorrow. Sorry, I thought Georgie was going to ask me something. As well as for the remainder of the session, nothing really on the agenda. Let me just check the squawk here, see if there was anything of any grave importance throughout the U.S. session. Not really. There wasn't anything of key importance to us. I just kind of mentioned it, only that core durable good orders. So that is all that we've got on the agenda for today's session. Again, tape bombs do happen, and they can affect the markets. So we always do recommend having a squawk handy if you will be day trading. As a swing trader, not necessarily as important. You can read that information, a little bit after it comes out and kind of make your decisions from there, since you're on generally a larger term or larger time frame. So that being said, let's jump over to our charts here and just find my window to do that. All right, there we are. All right, so first things first, guys, crude oil down here. We have 382,000 contracts on the session. This is pretty light volume, not going to lie. On average, 500 to 550. We are below average, and it's been a little bit of a I don't want to say a choppy day, but the initial move came right off of the open. And since then, it's kind of been hanging around, just broke to fresh lows. So, despite low volume, we are seeing somewhat of a directional move at the moment, just breaking below that 5-day point of control. I'll show you guys that on the chart in just a moment. But as it stands, pretty light volume, daily change percentage kind of reflective of that. The previous day close was somewhere around these high 80s, and we are currently at the 56.28. So that's where the change percentage comes from. S&P 500. Again, kind of a similar structure to the crude market here today, just pretty much a straight dump off of the open. And since then, if you look at crude, there's the open. Look at SPOOs, there's the open. Quick dump off the open. And we've kind of just been consolidating for a majority, just having broken to fresh lows. SPOOs kind of the same thing. Quick dump off the open. A little bit of time spent around that VWAP. New press to lows, and that's kind of where both of these markets are at this moment in time. So SPOOs, a little bit better volume here, 752,000, not quite to where we were a couple of weeks back, where we were seeing 1 million to 1.4 million on average. However, this is definitely a lot better than 400,000 contracts, 500,000 contracts of volume at this point of the day. So, excuse me, as we start inching closer to that Labor Day weekend, what I do anticipate is for these numbers to start increasing on these afternoon updates. Once we start getting that volatility back, that's really what we're waiting for. Not to say that there isn't opportunity at this point in time. It's just that you got to wait. You got to be very patient, and you got to have a lot of conviction with your trade, because it will take a lot longer than it would after Labor Day weekend for that trade to play out. So that that in the back of our minds, let's look at the pivot charts here. So yesterday on crude, we had a big rejection off of that R1, big sell-off, came down into S2, and then we found some support from there. And now in today's session, we've got those highs, which is where the bulls have to get back above in order to start getting some momentum in this market. And that level is right around the 57.20. As it stands, we are kind of hovering around that pivot. And, we did make an attempt at a bounce from that pivot. You can see that right here. That was around 10 a.m., which did not succeed in breaching above previous highs. You can see at the moment we are kind of testing that pivot again, 56.28. That's really this level that we're at on the chart. So, that there's a high in the context of what I'm anticipating to be bearish structure. There's our high. We had a little bounce off of the pivot, and we kind of failed to get back above there, which is a potential lower high for me. So we did kind of breach below the previous swing low, but this 1 hour bar chart is currently forming. We're only 11 minutes into the formation of this thing, so it could still close back up here. But what I'm getting at is, if we do get that hourly close back below that pivot, that is kind of shorter term structure showing you a break back down to the downside. And so if we get back below the pivot, if we close back below it at these 56.30s, I'll just be anticipating a press back down into yesterday's S2 and the previous day low. Also, the overnight low would be first 55.80s, and then the previous day low is this bright green one down here in the 55. Looks like the low 30s. And so that's kind of what I'm watching for on crude. On S&P 500, ran to fresh highs overnight, and fresh highs above 30.20. I've been, kind of preaching this level since we had, since 2 weeks back. This was a big zone. Even on this climb up, we saw a lot of resting paper up at the 30.20s. Traded up into that, sold off. And now, we kind of came back into those 30.20s, and this looks like a pretty nasty bull stop run, or bull trap rather, right above those highs. You can see we came into them, tried it again, sold off, ripped right above, getting any. Just imagine this, guys. These are all-time highs. If you're a retail trader, you're seeing on the news, BNN, CNN, whatever channel you follow, stock market brand new all-time highs. I'm sure your financial advisors in the branches are also, recommending people starting to pile into equities now that it's looking like the bull train is back on. And this is typically what you tend to get is a lot of excitement near those highs, get a lot of retail traders buying that breakout for the run, and then no surprise, you get that flush out. So, that being said, if I zoom out, we are still in a bullish structure overall. You guys can see, even though we are making faintly new highs, the structure still remains to the upside here. Our last major kind of swing low here was around the 3,000 level here. So that's kind of what I'm watching for. I think we still have some upside left. This is usually the case where you get that fake breakout, run some sell stops, and then once everyone's tired and everyone starts looking to get back on the short side, that's when you get the real upside that comes back on in. So that's kind of what I'm watching for. Previous low came in right actually just below the 3,000s. That might have been around the 29.96s. And so what I would not be surprised to see at this point is just how we had that breakout of the high. To get new sellers excited to start shorting, you're going to need to see a break of lows. And so that key low here on that 1 hour time frame for me is right around this 96. So I'll be watching that level as the price comes down into it. That's kind of ultimately the target. And if we do get a breakdown below that level, I'll just be watching to see what volume looks like. If volume is light and then we reclaim that level on some large volume, that to me is going to signal, potential bear trap, getting new traders, getting retail traders stuck in short here and then ripping their stops off back to the top of the range. So that's kind of what we'll be watching for on the SPOOs. Hey, Luciano, happy to see you in here. I made sure to state the date. State the date. Thank you so much for keeping me honest. It's actually a great point that you made. Good to have the date in there so that you kind of know what I was talking about at the time. So here we have the crude oil chart. And what you're seeing is basically we had our open up here, kind of spilled below those VWAPs, your pit session VWAPs down here as well. This level right in there is no need to be sorry, Luciano. That's awesome. That's awesome. We only grow by taking feedback and applying it. If you get your feelings hurt by someone's opinion, you've got some personal development to do on your end. So that being said, point of control, 5-day point of control is here. So what this simply means is that the largest amount of traded volume in the last 5 days happened right around these 56.30s. And so we see that level held as some nice support earlier in today's session. We kind of pulled off of those lows tried to retest the high, could not get quite back up there. Another rotation back down, little wick here, shows buying came in. The only thing is that the buyers couldn't get it back up above these 56.70s. They tried it once here, got sunk, tried it twice here, got sunk, couldn't quite muster up the strength to get it back up over there. Some rotations, another one down in here. And then this rotation, something interesting to note at support is, each time it hits and rotates off, you kind of want to gauge what it does, what the highs are doing. So, first time around, you get that pop off. All right, cool. There's some buying here. Still, if you're looking to buy it here, it might be a little bit riskier than it is to short. But what you do is, each time it comes back in, watch what happens. This time it came around, bounced up, bounced into here, and was not able to get back above that high before coming back down to support. So you can see a bit of a lower high starting to form. Comes back into that zone, another pop up, couldn't quite get it back up there, right back down to the zone. You guys can see kind of that pattern of lower highs starting to emerge each time we're hitting that horizontal support level, right? And then finally, we got another bounce into there. That bounce, again, didn't quite get back up above. And then we got our flush, and you can see volume kind of picked up on that flush. And so that was kind of, each time it bounces and you're getting lower highs, that's kind of suggesting that we're going to go in for a flush of that level. And that's kind of what we had there. And now, just trend continuation, broke the lows, rotated back up. What was once support should become resistance once it's broken through. So breakdown, rotation, continue the sell off. So, this is a big level, 5-day point of control. Don't really anticipate the bulls getting right back up here. If they do, that's kind of a sign of strength that they're going to want to press it back up to the top. But ultimately, what we're seeing here is it's kind of holding these rotations. And at this point, 56.30s, pretty good level. I'm seeing some bids flashing at the 10s, the 56s, and right around the overnight lows and the previous day close. So that's kind of what I'm watching for. A move back down into here is what I'd be watching for here on crude oil. S&P 500. What you will see is that we had a really aggressive, this was around 8:30 as well. So this was right around the time we had the core durable good orders come out, as well as ECB press conference was taken light there. Big drop off of the open, and that was really aggressive and very quick. And right away, that kind of got us on the, not assumption, but on the hypothesis that we're going to see lower prices off the open. You generally don't see that aggressive of a move off of, just before the open. Usually you'll see something like this or a little bit of a pullback. But this was a dump. This was a high of 30.27 3/4, and just before the open, we dropped down into the 14s. All right, guys, so that's over 10 points. Oh, that's almost 15 points right off just before the open. So as soon as that happened, we were kind of looking for the short side. Right off the open, we did get a sell-off, and we kind of rotated between the opening range low and that overnight low. Couple of rotations, step down into that 5-day point of control. And that's kind of where we've been hugging for the last, since when is this? This is since around 950. A little bit of a buy stop run into those VWAPs. I was looking to short those. I tried getting the 15s. I got the 15 halves on one rotation on this second one here. Fortunately got stopped out for break even, +1 on this guy on this next rotation up. And then once that happened, I tried getting short again. Didn't quite get it. I think the high here was the 14.75, and I was sitting just one tick above that. That's okay. That happens. Ended up getting the move that I was looking for. Came in without me. However, at the moment, we are sitting right below that 5-day point of control, just kind of stuck between the current session lows and that 5-day point of control. And so we'll see what happens here. This could be the potential for a bottom for us to start pressing higher. If we do end up holding that level and pressing back up above that 5-day point of control, what it would look like is something similar to what you saw here. Couple of rotations, break out, rotates back down, and you see a nice wick on some big volume, and then you get the press up higher. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for if I wanted to get long on this market. Currently some structure here, a little breakup. I'd want to see the pit view app broken, come into that Globex view app, then come down and retest this level as support. You need to see big volume. At that point, you could look to potentially qualify something for a move back towards that open. As it stands, kind of still seeing bearishness. So if this point of control does hold, could look to press this thing back down to that previous day low, even a little bit deeper into those 94s. So that's kind of the game plan at this part of the day. One thing I will say, though, is that the trend in the last couple of weeks or so, especially with these equities, has been weakness into the open, a little bit of a reversal around lunchtime, and then strength to close out the day. So if the SPOOs are going to play along with that, with that pattern that we've been seeing, this is that's the game plan. Break out over the point of control into that VWAP. You guys can see that kind of held today. Rotate back down, find support, and then at that point, it's a bit of a lower risk opportunity to try pressing back up to the upside. So that's what I got on both of our markets today, guys. If you are enjoying this, please do comment in the interactive chat. I like to see that in there. You guys can also throw in questions. You do have somebody that's doing this on a daily basis. So if you've got anything that you have on your mind, please feel free to throw that in there, and I'll look to take that answer or answer that question. So while I get my TRADEPRO performance chart, which is right here, I'll drag that into our screen. That's what it's looking like. We actually had a great day today. I'm not sure if this is a record-setting day. Might have been a record-setting day in our room today. But what I do see was on today's session. Great bounce back from yesterday. Yesterday was a bit tougher. 74.42% of the room was live as of the time that we signed out of the room. One thing that I do want to applaud or celebrate is the fact that we had the single largest percentage of traders that were up on today's session. 67% of the room was green on the session. The live positive means that you finished the day either neutral or green for the day, which is both of these. And for the first time in quite some time, 67%, a big majority of that was traders in the green. So great bounce back from the team today. A couple more days left of July to trade, and we're going to look to close it out strong with the team on that front. So that is basically the wrap on our update. I'll switch this sucker back to my face, and I'll answer some of the questions that have come through here, and we'll wrap this guy up. So we got a question from Will. What would you say would be the most predominant tool to enter a trade? Your zone, footprint, heat map, or which do you rely on the most? So me personally, I rely on the footprint. The most. You know what? I can actually switch back. It's good. That's a great question, Will. It's good that you asked that. Let me open up my actual trading platform here, and I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like when I'm looking to qualify a trade. So just be patient with this for a second. This is going to take a second to load here just because I've got a lot of stuff running on the computer. But it is my footprint chart. As far as qualification, everything before actually pulling the trigger, I will do on my tick charts, all my zones. I'll look at that. I'll take a look at the heat map, see what's going on. But basically, once it's coming to my zone on the tick charts and I'm getting the price action that I like, I'm seeing rotations in the level, then I start looking at the footprint, and the footprint is really what drives me towards the execution. Am I seeing order flow aligning with what I'm expecting to happen? So if I'm looking to sell, sell a rally as it's coming up, am I seeing sell imbalances near the top of the candles? Am I seeing low auction bids? Am I seeing point of controls near the top of the rotations? Just little things like that. Where are the offers at? What are the correlations doing? There's a bunch of stuff that goes into qualifying a trade, and I'm not going to qualify one on here for YouTube. Maybe if that's what you guys want, we can give you an example of that down the road, but we like to keep that for our members. So let this guy load up. It's really taking its time. All right, let me close this chart because I'm done with it. All right, perfect. So for those watching, we are almost set here. There we go. All my charts are up now. So this is basically what my charts look like. And Will, just kind of to your point, this is basically what I'd be looking for, right? So maybe we can actually qualify something here just because we're in a nice level. But basically, we're at a zone. We just broke below one of my zones. We are at the 5-day point of control. Trend at the moment is still bearish. Correlation markets, I am seeing NASDAQ pressing up a little bit. However, Dow is still kind of consolidating at session lows. So that's pretty good to see. On the 5-tick chart, we've got one rotation, or this is a 10-tick up here. I'm just seeing a rotation down, which is great. That shows me sellers are kind of in this area. On the footprint chart, you guys can see 2 rotations, a sell-off, back up. Now rotations are coming in. On my footprint chart here, this is kind of what I'm looking for, back into a level of control. I'm seeing nice rotations. I'm seeing, point of controls near the top of candles, sell imbalances, low auction bids, rotates down, comes back up, more sell imbalances, another low auction bid. So this level is looking like it could be a potential opportunity to short. And so, if you're looking to short, this is really not a time that I'd be looking to do it. I'm not a fan of trading around this time of day. But if you were looking to take a short, this is a pretty good level. You've got these point of control sell imbalances right up top of structure. That was a level that kind of held for that drop. Now we've just rotated back into it, and we are starting to form some more rotations. So S1 sitting right at these 04 quarters. Now what I'm kind of watching for is just for a move kind of into here to press this sucker down. And so that's kind of how I'd go ahead and qualify the trade. That's what I use. And my offers are basically on this end here. I don't see anything on there right now. I think I have my thing a little bit too high. No, it's at 549. That's fine. So that's basically what it looks like. And then if I get what I like to see, I'll set the limit on there. I've got my DOMs sitting on another screen. So if I like what I see, I'll set a limit on there. And I got brackets on all my limits. So as soon as I set the limit, my bracket gets set, my stop loss sets, my take profit gets set. And then if I get filled, we'll let the trade play out and go from there. So that's what I got, guys. What I might do is maybe just record this and throw it up for you guys. But I'm not gonna keep us open here for too much longer. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Went a little bit over time, but I think the example was a great one, especially for anybody wondering what it looks like, what we're actually trading like in the room. This is a great example on today's update. So, that being said, that's going to be a wrap for me. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, you guys know what to do. Smash that like button. Make sure to comment. Let us know that you are enjoying these. Let us know what we can change, what we can make better. Like I said, Luciano so kindly kept me honest, let me know that throwing the date in the updates is going to help out. And so little things like that is exactly what we like to take. The only value that you guys can get is if you let us know what you guys need help with. There's only so much that keyword tools can do for us. We try to provide as much value for you guys as possible, but at the end of the day, you also have to remember that we've been doing this for a very long time, and things that seem basic to us might be a whole new world to somebody that's looking at this as a brand new trader. So things that we might overlook, just might be the thing that takes you from a losing trader, flips on the aha moment, gets that switch going, and that could be the thing that starts getting you into consistency. So I always do the best trading the mark style. There it is, Tessa. Yeah, so that's what I like to see, Tess. Yeah, I hope you've been doing well. Can you send me an email or reach out in the Discord? Let me know how you've been doing since the workshop. And that's it, guys. So as always, thank you so much for taking the time and sitting in on these. Hope I'm not blabbing too much, but we are really passionate about what we do here, and we really do care about you guys. And if we can make you guys consistently profitable traders, at the end of the day, that is what the goal is. It's a win-win situation. If you guys win, your lifestyle changes. It opens up a whole world of possibilities for you guys. So that's essentially it. And yeah, that's going to be a wrap for today. I'm going to switch back to the chart here just because this is working out at the moment. But this is kind of an example of what we look for. Basically, you got those rotations. Now what you're seeing is a whole bunch of offers came in, 1,900 of them to the 307. And what that means is, we had these offers up here in the 9.5s. They've moved down to the 7s, which means offers are getting a little bit more aggressive. And that should result in price trying to make a bit of a dip. These guys are essentially trying to scare the market into lower prices. And that's one of the things that we look for. There's order flow. That's basically what it looks like when you qualify the trade. It's at a good level. And like I said, not the biggest fan of the time. The time will be the difference between being in a trade, waiting for it to work out for, half an hour to 45 minutes, or being in a trade, getting filled and having that work out within a couple seconds to, maybe 5-10 minutes max. So that's kind of what we're on about. I'm gonna record this and see what the update is. At the end of the trade, based on how I would have taken it. But I hope you guys enjoyed that example, and that's going to be a wrap for today. If you guys enjoyed this one, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, guys.